on this episode of Bushcrafting on a Buck, the alcohol stove edition. So okay, so I want to show you just a couple of things on this particular alcohol stove. This was made out of 2 Vienna sausage cans. Cut one, fitted inside here. I cut one, fitted inside here, and a series of holes. This was my first try. Put a bigger hole in the middle for fill, and then I have JB walled around it. Paper punched holes, and that works as a both. This becomes a pot stand, a windscreen, and a stove. You can cook on regular pans. You can put water bottles on it. I've got one here we'll cover in a little bit, but you can set it down and it'll sit right on top of it, and that allows for this to be both a cooking pot. And this works really well. It's great for boiling water, and it'll cook well. So, when I make my next one, I won't necessarily need this big hole. I'll just put a few holes in it. This worked better. We used it on that 3-day, 2-night thing with Dean and David. This was the first thing Jeff boiled water in for making himself some tea. And he had it sitting by one of the hammocks, and I wasn't paying attention. I knew it was there, I just wasn't paying attention, didn't think about it. And I stepped on it, so I've straightened it back out pretty much, but it still isn't perfect. This is a Vienna sausage can that hasn't been stepped on. The reason it looks like this, while it's been cleaned up a bit, this has been burned. I take these are my everyday food item in my backpack. Anytime I have that backpack, there's at least 2 cans of Vienna sausages in it. They are great because I can eat out of it, and I eat Vienna sausages, I love them, but when I'm done, I can burn the liner out of this, and now I have a small cook pot. And this is actually going to be the next generation here, so you can actually kind of see the line on there, where if you compare the two, here's the line for this one, here's the line for that one. This much space just has gas flowing around because there's no oxygen getting to it. So my intentions are to bring this up because I can only reach so far with my paper punch. Okay, this is one that the penny was used on in here on the trip, and I have several like this, and I've got the video. You'll see the video of making it. This one was made for Dean. Now I've got a series of holes around the outside, and I've got 4 inside. You'll also notice that for the other ones I make, this is much taller. Well, Dean has a sterno stove and needs the height. So this is designed so he can use for that. He's made his own. I'll give him this one, and we'll see how it works for him. Here's one that was made out of 2 tuna cans. The video will be included. This coloration here is in part, I think, from the fuel that was in there. Could be the liner that had been in the can because they didn't burn them first. This one burns hot enough that it melts a zinc penny, so it's over 700 degrees at the surface of this. So I refer to this as a nickel stove because I can't put a penny on it, it'll melt it. So that's a nickel stove. This penny stove, Here you can see it, because like I said, the penny discolored. This was used on that trip with Dean and David, and we did a little cooking on it. I used it for Dean in one of my burners. I've got, a second. This was a stand from a tabletop tiki torch, and you can see there's still a little dirt, but I now use it as a pot stand. I can use it this way, or I can use it upside down if it's a smaller diameter. And I can also fit coat hanger wires through to turn it into a pot stand if I need to use a small bottle. Now, if I don't use the penny, which I would anyway, but after it, because this will require a priming pan, okay? So if I want to use this one, I'm going to have to use a priming pan with it. But once it's burning, I can still set my water bottle on it, and it'll cook just fine. This is the top of a tuna can. I don't have a side cutting can opener, but I do have the kind that has the round blade, and you turn it. Well, if you turn it with a round blade sideways, if you turn it and use the thing sideways, it'll cut like a top cutting can opener, and that allows this to be the priming pan for one of these stoves. So when you fill it, you just drizzle a little over. I'll throw the penny on and light the pan, and that'll light. So that's a priming pan for it. This, I can light the middle, but I can also use a priming pan that'll light faster. If I use one with Dean, priming pan. And since that's the top of a tuna can, obviously it won't work as a priming pan for my nickel stove here. I bought 2 of these bottles. This from the dollar store. So when you go to the dollar store, you can find these. These are different than the wide neck stainless. This is an aluminum bottle. But in this particular case, I do know that this has a liner in it, and that's the first concern. So I want to burn that out if I'm going to do anything like that. And I can't cook effectively because of a narrow neck. But if I take this bottle, take a hacksaw or a file, I can cut a groove in here. Then I can measure down, put a line here, corresponding line here, cut these out. Now I have the ring out of the middle, and then I would sand this part clean. That removes this paint lacquer off of it. I could invert it, turn that side inside here, tap it down into it, seat it, and make a side burner stove out of this. And it would look like this one. So, same bottle, side burner stove. And you can kind of, if you look, you'll see that there's the distinctive bulge here where you can see the upper one hammered in. And I'm not sure if I can get the angle in the camera, but right up in here you can see the notch. So hopefully that's going to come through. Pardon me. Hopefully that'll come through where you can see the notch in there. But this sits down. You put alcohol in, and it works easier on a priming pan. Then when I'm done, we'll just say this is whatever pan I want to cook. It seats on top, and the flames are going to come around. This has a wide flame pattern, which we'll get on that film later. So when this video is uploaded, that'll be visible. It seems to indicate that about an inch. So what I usually do is make a slight indentation in the ground. I didn't set this in, and I've got my height there that I want. And I cook with it. We used this on that trip. I used a container, a tin, and I boiled 4 cups of water with lentils and stuff. Boiled it and simmered it for the remaining 25 minutes, and still the flame was going. This is my tin for making char cloth. This is actually cattail. that I can set this right on here and cook my char cloth that way. So the last thing I want to get done for this video is to get out in the light where you can see the flame, get all these working and show you them working, and I'll probably boil water on this one and probably cook something with this one. And I may actually use the penny stuff, but so that's what we're going to be playing with on this episode of Bushcrafting on a Buck, the alcohol stove edition. So well, a lot of these work better with a priming pan. This one, because it's an open one, does not require a priming pan. So these are my stoves that you'll get a chance to see. This one works very well, as I said. This one works, this is just by far my favorite. This works exceptionally well. So, alcohol stoves, we'll get back. A couple other things to show you. I'm going to use this Coors Light can that I found, and I'll cut that, and you can see how long this neck is. So I'll give a big expansion chamber. I'll measure, I'm going to cut this just like with other ones, and I'll put this inside and I'll trim this to make sure it's smooth. But this will make a side burning stove. So you'll see that one sometime, but on this video it won't be complete. Okay, big Miller High Life can. The store, when I was looking for things, didn't have either that Coors Light that I found or a Heineken can or a Foster's Lager, but they did have this 32 ounce Miller High Life can. So, for size comparison, here's the lid from that tuna can. You can see that this is almost the same size as a tuna can. That is fantastic. So I'm going to use it, and you've seen how we do this. We'll take, a knife, and I will turn this and score it. I will carefully pop this top off, and I'll get a tuna can, cut the bottom out, and I'll actually slide it inside here. At least that's my hope. So we'll see how that goes. This is going to make a cooking pot for me, not a stove. Okay, here's a project I wanted to try. We have some tuna cans here that we used in the video. Right here I have a jar of jalapenos that I'm almost done with. But I want to start with push pin. I'll make a couple of holes. Let's see. I can tell you that this is beginning to dull my push pin, which certainly would make sense. But doing, really surprisingly well. So my jalapenos aside, I get to finish those later. But now the problem becomes, how do I fit this inside of that, or that up inside there? Well, what I'm going to do is take this, and it's going to make a very slight turn in here, at the upper part only. That should allow me to force my project together. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to put it on the ground and roll the outside and attempt to, actually I'll do my leg, and attempt to flare the outer ring out. Could heat it up, and if this doesn't go here in a minute, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, well, that time it worked, so pushing it down, seals pretty well, and then run around the bottom here and kind of smooth that up. So with these holes punched in, which video will let the flame out, so you have the top marked. In order to push it past these holes, really going to need to let the air out. See if I can get it to where I can show you what I'm doing. I'm putting the pin on a mark as I'm pushing to seat the thing. If there's resistance, the pin will penetrate. If there's no resistance, then it goes in. About taking a beer can, in this case I'm going to take this little utility knife blade. I'm going to put it here to where the blade is just sitting off the edge. I'm going to take an empty can, put it against it, where it's going to sit against that blade. Now I'm holding that blade tight. I'm going to roll the can, keeping pressure against the blade. Now I'm not trying to cut through the can, I'm trying to score the can. I can feel right here I have a separation. So now I can just sit here and keep shaking like I was. And my scores will continue around the can. I just want to get this tapered in a little bit. Now I've made those crimps. I'm rolling this around. And then just a little bit at the top. Not much. And when I put these together, I'm watching my progress, see if it'll go. Right now, they've just slipped in. Okay, I'm going to have, I can see that this one was on the outside. This is going to be my top. I'm going to push a little bit, and rotate around. It's going to start getting stubborn because I have no vent hole, so all we're doing is compressing air. Now I won't fill these, of course. But if we want a demonstration on them, I'll put maybe half an ounce in these two. Sitting in that. So I add my alcohol to this. I just kind of fill this pan and it'll drip into those center holes. As you can see, it's gone. here. This one, I'll just pour it in. It's got channels that it flows through the sides. So move this back and we'll get ready to light. Almost instant priming. Well, since we don't prime, the one is an instant light. And it burns very merrily away. Okay, so this one is now fully lit. My jets are coming on my penny stoves. This one, because it's such a thick-walled stove, will take a little longer of a prime to ignite, but it is an open one which I could light in the middle and actually catch quicker. Now this one is nicely engaged. So here we go. See the burns here. This one, which had about ½ ounce, is burning down very much. This one is a little cockeyed because it's low. See, I have a different jet pattern completely on the one back here for Dean. This one is burning high and away with a pot on it, burns in a completely different manner. And my nickel stove is burning away fairly nicely. And then we get the height adjustment. You can see, look at the side burner in focus. So, look at my legs right on my tripod here. So the alcohol is almost burned out of this one. This one's almost burned out, but it's still burning. This one's going nicely. We put a little extra alcohol in these two so I could show you what it looked like as they filled. And see my side burner, the wind is blowing the flame that way, but it's doing a great job of cooking. So as soon as these are all out, we'll be done for the demonstration. But they are wonderful stoves. I like the way most of them burn, but by far and away, this is my favorite. I have a boil. me show you what this is like, actually looking down into it. You can see the alcohol actually boiling in there. But just about that quickly, it's burning out. So, all that remains burning right now is my little soda can, pop can stove. This one made out of Coke Zero cans, of course. So, my nickel stove. Can't really touch that nickel yet. What do you think, guys? Pretty cool projects, very useful. So, Bushcrafting on a Buck, the alcohol stove edition. This is Rich telling you, get up, get out, get some dirt time. Here I am at a park. This is a great place to, once you've tested this in your backyard, it's a great place to go out and use it. Give it a try. Then when you get out in the actual wilderness, you know what to expect. So, get your dirt time. Let's see you later, guys. Bye now. I'm not sure if that was recording. Anyway, so get up, get out, guys. Get yourself some dirt time. See you in the woods. Bye now. Ow, that's hot.